Hey there, today I get to talk about two femme fatales joining the ranks of Marvel Crisis Protocol that are both mutants, but in very different ways. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. So, we've got two mutant ladies who like to beat up on good guys, bad guys, and probably really anyone that they feel like on that day. I am talking about the ladies who seem to shift allegiances a bit more than their team is comfortable with Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, and the White Queen, Emma Frost. The two don't really interact much at all in the comics, but they both bring some cool new tools to their respective affiliations. And I'm going to start with Spider-Woman, who has the alter ego of, again, Jessica Drew. She has 6 stamina, moves long, is size 2 for 4 threat. She has 4 physical defense and 3 energy and mystic to round out her base stats for a pretty average looking 4 threat so far. Her first attack is an energy bioelectric strike, has a range of 3, strength of 5, and cost 0. It has the line you would expect about gaining power equal to the damage dealt, but then additionally on a wild you get to trigger Neuro Disruption. Before damage is dealt, for each wild in the attack roll, the defending character gains one of the following conditions: poison, shock, or stun. So a plethora of great status conditions to hand out, and before damage dealt is really big here for 2 reasons. First, you can give them stun before you deal damage, and before subsequently they gain power. So if you're dealing 4 damage, and instead of getting 4 power, they can only get 1 if you get that wild in. The other reason this timing is really nice is for Baron Strucker's leadership. If you daze a character, typically you don't get to put a condition on them, so you don't get to heal from Hydra High Council. Jessica does get to go through that though, which is a nice combo for an affiliated character. Her second attack is Intoxicating Blast. It has a range of 2, strength of 7 for 3 power. The important part is that after the attack is resolved, the target character drops all objective tokens they are currently holding, so it gives you some nice extract control. The more so bonus part of the ability, so to speak, is that if you roll a wild and the target is already poisoned, you can advance the enemy character short. So a bit more niche with the sensory overload, but still cool to have. Her superpower suite, though, is really nice. I Don't Fly, I Glide is a 2-power active power that lets her place herself within range 2 of her current position, and it can only be used once per turn. So mobility for a couple power is a welcome addition to really any and all characters, so it's a nice thing for her to have, especially though because of one of her last superpowers. She then has Interrogate. It's a reactive power that costs 3 and has only been seen once before because it's a bonkers powerful effect. It says at the start of the cleanup phase, if this character is within range 2 of 1 or more dazed enemy characters, she may use this superpower. Jessica's controlling player increases the amount of VP scored from the crisis cards by 1. Now, this only gets you 1 bonus victory point. The wording is weird that might make you think that it increases it by 1 per objective or 1 for each crisis card, but it's just a +1 victory point at the end of the round, which is still really good, because 1 or 2 victory points can be huge when it's a fast-scoring game or a slow one. We also then have 3 different innate powers. First up is Martial Artist, which lets Jessica count blanks on defense against physical and energy attacks that are coming at her from within range 2, and then pairing with that quite nicely, and also pairing nicely with her range 2 place, is her next innate power, which is Stealth, which means enemy characters have to target her within range 3. So your opponents have to target her within that range 3 ring to get an optimal attack onto her, which makes her pretty durable when she's on an objective. Her final innate powers are her immunity to poisoned and wall crawler superpower that means she can advance over terrain of size 5 or less with no problem, which is also really nice with her long move. It is worth mentioning real quick that she does have 1 change on her injured side, and that is that her stamina goes down to 5. So Jess has a lot of things going for her, and honestly not too much to hold against her. She has some solid mobility and durability for a start, which add greatly to her overall kit, but the one thing I think she really shines in is her objective play. Now, granted, it will cost her some power, but scoring extra VPs from Interrogate and making opponents drop extracts with her Spender are both really nice abilities to just directly control the scoreboard. Now, in the objective play realm, she doesn't have much as far as control for the secure objectives because sensory overload is a lot of hoops to jump through to get an advance on the enemy target, but the rest of her objective play makes up for it well enough. I don't know. Which leaves me with the one thing that Jessica doesn't really have for a 4 threat, and that's damage output. She has a very average 5-die builder and a 7-die spender. No additional damage output in her superpowers, so don't bring her in thinking she will be a wrecking ball like Rogue, for example. So this makes her an overall very different piece at 4 threat than what we have seen elsewhere, but still really great for her durability on a secure, overall mobility, and victory point manipulation. Her affiliations are still technically all unknown, but we've also gotten plenty of hits from AMG, at least about a few of them. At least enough so that I feel confident to say that she is in S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, and Web Warriors. She is also possibly an Avenger and A-Force member, but we'll have to see how generous AMG is with her affiliation placement. Regardless, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra are both going to be great places for her with all of the conditions and victory point control that she cares about. We do also know about her team tactic cards at this point, and while On Patrol is really fun and thematic for Carol and Jess to just be besties hanging out, I think the far more interesting card is Double Agent. It's an unaffiliated, reactive team tactic card that can be played at the start of your activation for 2 power from Jessica. You then choose an enemy character. The next time the chosen character gains an activation token, remove an activation token from Spider-Woman. This in theory sounds excellent, but is really only ideal with priority, and you want to activate Jessica first and are confident that 1, she will have something to do with her second activation, and 2, that she will live to see that second activation. Otherwise, this card is great to play mind games with your opponent still, maybe force an early activation out of a character to prevent the effect from ever getting a chance to happen, or just try to make them outright daze Jessica before she gets a second activation to take some of the heat off of a nearby buddy. So if you like the mind games aspect of this card, go, I recommend it. If you like more guaranteed and instant effects, not so much the card for you. I have no fun transition onto Emma Frost, who shockingly has the alter ego of Emma Frost. This is a transform character, so I will be going over her normal card first, and then all of her transform side, in this case, diamond form. Emma has 6 stamina, moves medium, is size 2, and 4 threat. Her physical defense is at 2, energy at 3, and her mystic at a whopping 5. In this form, she has 2 mystic attacks. The first is Psychic Spike, has a range of 4, strength of 5, and costs nothing. It will gain her power equal to the damage dealt, and if you manage to get both a hit and a wild in the roll, after the attack has been resolved, you can advance the target character short. So, not a bad builder, especially given the range on the attack. Next up is Hands Off. It is a range 3 attack with strength 8 and cost 4. Also included is Defenestrate, which will trigger on a wild, and while the name sounds fancy, it's basically just a size 4 or less throw on the target, importantly before damage is dealt away short. So with good odds for the single wild on 8 dice, this has some nice control and extra damage possibilities. She then has 3 different reactive abilities, all of which are defensive in nature. Diamond Form costs 1 and can be used when she is targeted by an attack. Emma may then transform into her Diamond Form, which we'll talk about in a moment. Her next ability is Shield Mine. It costs 2 and is used when Emma or an allied character within range 4 would be advanced, placed, or pushed by the effects of an enemy mystic attack or superpower. The allied character is then not advanced, placed, or pushed. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop throws, but that'd probably be a bit too good. However, her next ability, Telekinetic Deflection, which also costs 2, does let her ignore any damage she would take from a collision, which, is nice given the 2 physical defense. Then finally, we have a really strong innate power called Power Inhibition. So, Emma, while in this form, will not allow enemy characters to use reactive superpowers or reactive team tactic cards. Mystique is the only other character who has this innate ability, and it's really good. So being able to turn off bodyguard, trap effects, and even brace for impact are all really good things. Not to mention in teams like Wakanda or Midnight Suns, when you use their global attack team tactic cards, suddenly you're making attacks all over the place and your opponent can't do anything about it. Anyways, there are no changes on her injured side, thankfully, because there are plenty in her diamond form. The first change that's notable is her defenses change from cell reception bars to 4 across the board. Then her core stats otherwise stay the same, and literally everything else changes. So let's dig into what is basically a whole new character. Her new builder is Diamond Strike. It's a physical attack with a range of 2, strength of 5, and costs nothing. Like a normal builder, it will gain her power equal to the damage dealt. On a wild, you will get to stun the enemy after the effect is resolved, so no Spider-Woman shenanigans. Also, though, on a crit, the attack gains Pierce, which will let you change one of your opponent's crits, wilds, or blocks into a blank. Her new spender is Shatter. It's also physical, but this one is an Area 2 attack with a strength of 7 for a whopping 6 power, but it's still better than Thor's spender because, once again, on a crit, the attack will gain Pierce. Additionally, after all of the attacks have been resolved, Emma may transform into her normal form, giving her a range 1 place, and opening up her mystic attacks, and yeah. Her first new power is an active one for 3 power. Sometimes one must get their hands dirty. It lets Emma pick up a terrain feature of size 3 or less, and within range 2, and throw it medium once per turn. So, an extra source of damage output, and a pretty strong one at that with a medium throw range. We then have four different innate powers. Diamond Mine prevents Emma from playing team tactic cards while in this form, which is a downside. Far From My Best Look, which tells you to swap back to her normal form at the end of Emma's activation, as long as you started her activation in Diamond form. And the only way I know to get a mid-activation Diamond form is with Face Me. So, pretty niche, but there it is. So about 99% of the time, you'll be swapping back to normal form at the end of her Diamond turn anyway. Before you guys get into the comments, the reason why I can only think of getting Diamond form mid-activation is with Face Me is because of Frost's own power inhibition. It will prevent all of the Counter-Strike-like attacks from Hawkeye, Bucky, Venom, and so on because they don't get to use their reactive powers or tactic cards. Then we have Psychic Immunity, says that this character cannot be pushed or advanced as a result of enemy mystic attack or superpowers, and additionally, when defending against mystic attacks, you get to count blanks in your defense roll as successes. Then she becomes immune to 4 different conditions, including bleed, incinerate, poison, and stun. Something kind of fun is that if Emma has any of these conditions when she changes into Diamond form, they will instantly be removed, giving her another good reason to go Diamond. Also, again, no changes on her injured side. So, what are Emma's strong points, weak points, and so on? And, I'm not really sure what to tell you guys. She is tanky if she wants to be, but otherwise is closer to a glass cannon. She'll be power hungry, but only in her normal form. Honestly, the worst part about her is the amount of extra brain power you'll have to commit to using her and determining when you want to go Diamond form, and when to risk her getting dazed to a physical attack. I think people will often find themselves in a vicious cycle with Emma. You probably want her sitting on an objective, helping stop control effects from your opponent while blasting away with mystic attacks. But if a big attack comes your way, you'll want to go Diamond form to take the hit. Well, then suddenly everything she can do is at range 2, so you'll need to get her into the brawl to do anything for the rest of that turn. But then she is in the brawl and more likely to get willed on by big attacks, which will make her stay in Diamond form longer than you probably want. We haven't seen her team tactic cards yet, and I'm betting there is one that will deal with her transforming one way or the other, but may not really be worth it if it is just a one-time transformation. All this to say, I'm not really sure. I think I would be happiest with her on the edge of the battlefield, throwing out the Mystic Haymakers and preventing my opponent's more controlling effects. Her deflection will help with some of the stuff that gets thrown her way, but she'll still be pretty vulnerable. With that in mind, we know she is getting a Team Tactic card leadership for the Hellfire Club, which is cool, but I'm guessing Storm will be a go-to affiliation home for her. You know, cover and stuff to help stay alive, or a leapfrog place into combat once you end up going diamond. But that's all I have for these two femme fatales. As always, I want to say thank you to the members of the Guild Hall who are supporting the channel and podcast with your contributions. If you are shopping online, though, for your mini stuff, consider using one of the Guild's sponsors to support an LGS that hosts game nights and a place to play for their local players. If you're in the UK, shop at Tritex and use the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout for an extra 5% off. And if you use that code on a pre-order item like Agent Venom, it'll actually save you up to 25% off of MRSP. And if you are in the US, head to gamechefs.org and use the code GamersGuild, no spaces, to save an extra 15% off of their already discounted prices, which comes out to a really good bargain on your end. However, I will continue to say, if you are shopping from your own LGS, just keep supporting them. We all understand and appreciate that. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.